everyone, welcome to our Learn Calligraphy in Quarantine series. We're starting it off with using a highlighter and filling up our basic strokes worksheets. So if you're using a highlighter and if you're using the same highlighter as I am, you'll be needing an extra sheet of paper because my worksheets are a bit too small because they're better for smaller writing materials. But that's fine, you can always practice your calligraphy on any lined sheet of paper. So to start off, let's do some warm-ups with our highlighter just so you can get a feel of it. So hold it the proper way with the pointy tip at the bottom and just start making thin upstrokes and thick downstrokes. Just make, it doesn't have to be perfect as long as you practice making thick and thin lines alternately so that you get a feel of what you'll be doing with our basic strokes, okay? So let's start with our most basic strokes, the upstroke and the downstroke. So we will use two lines, two spaces when practicing on our lined paper because when you're using large writing materials, it's better if you use bigger spacing so you can transition better and it's easier for you to work with bigger spaces if you're using bigger writing materials. So let's start with an upstroke. An upstroke starts from the bottom and then goes up with very light pressure. So it's like your tip is barely touching the paper. There we go. Now for a downstroke, holding the pen exactly like that, just put more pressure on the highlighter. So you see the difference between the thickness of the upstroke and the downstroke. Now I'm going to do our next stroke. It's called an underturn. An underturn is thick and then thin. So let's do that. Thick and then thin. Thick and then thin. So when you reach this 3/4 area, you start letting go of pressure and start preparing for your upstroke. So very much pressure, but at the time you reach this, you make thinner, make your line thinner, and there we go, that's an underturn. So the next basic stroke that we have is called an overturn. An overturn is a thin upstroke and then ending with a thick downstroke. So we follow that with an upstroke and then downstroke. So the same principle applies. By the time you reach 3/4, you start letting go of your pressure. Start putting full pressure so that your transition looks better. So that's an overturn. The next basic stroke is called a compound curve, and it's a combination of an overturn and an underturn. So it goes up, down, and then up again. So let's practice it in our piece of paper. So we start with an upstroke and then downstroke and then upstroke again. Let's do it one more time. Upstroke, downstroke, and upstroke again. So this might be tricky to do on your first try, so keep practicing at home. So our next basic stroke is ovals. So I like to call them penguin eggs. So I make a guideline again. So ovals start here and then they start with a upstroke, a downstroke, and then connect it to your upstroke earlier. So let's do it in this piece of paper. I do an upstroke, a downstroke, and then connect it. Let's do it one more time. So make sure that when you're making your ovals or any other curve, make sure that your downstroke does not go beyond the middle line. There we go. So that's an oval. So we're down to our last two strokes, the ascending and descending loops. Because on my worksheet, they only take up 2 spaces, but since we'll be doing them on my lined sheet of paper, we'll be using 4 spaces. So we'll be giving space for, not just 4 actually. So I'll be lining up my ascending and descending spaces, and this is my X height. Okay, so I'll be doing my ascending loop first. You start your ascending loop here at the X height. So thin upstroke and then thick downstroke until the baseline. Now for my downstrokes, it starts at the same place in the X height, but it starts as a downstroke until the descending line, and then it goes up into the baseline. So this is the ascending and this is the descending loop. So let's try to finish this whole line with all of the basic strokes that we learned today. So we learned an upstroke, a downstroke, an underturn, an overturn, a compound curve, and finally we learned ovals. So practice this by yourself and then show me the results. You can email us or find us in our social media accounts. So this has been the video where we learned how to do the basic strokes using a simple highlighter. Show us your results. We're excited to see how you guys do, and see you in our next video. Bye!